All right, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to the morning show. My name's Jason. Got Brittany here to my right. Good morning. Oh, she said, bring it in.
There we go.
Good morning. And we've also got our wonderful, wonderful friend Martinez Rory in the house on Zoom. Martinez, how are you? Uh-oh.
Good morning, terrific Tuesday.
Let's go. It's a terrific Tuesday.
How is life?
Hey, life's good. Life's really good. We're we're
That's
getting
right.
things moving and grooving and just starting things out right on a good note. We're actually live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and just officially went live on TikTok. So we're all over the place, available to whomever is out there. Today, I'm looking at the comments right now. I do see that we've got TJ Pruitt in the house. Good morning to you, sir. I hope that you were having a terrific Tuesday. All right, I hope things are going fantastic. Let's see here. Matter of fact, if you're out there, why don't you let us know with a comment? Definitely have a lot of folks that watch us on Facebook, and we appreciate you being a part of that. So very much. So Martinez, man, I tell you what, we missed you yesterday. You had texted us earlier. You had a conflicting situation, which is totally fine. Just want to check in to see how you are doing today and how you've been doing this week.
The older I get, the more I hate going to the dentist. I just cannot stand it.
So you was at the dentist yesterday, huh?
Yeah, they call themselves numbing me, but I could feel every needle, every cut, every stitch. I was like, oh my God, this is, I stopped the dentist and I asked her, are you mad at me? I mean, like, did I say something to offend you? You know?
I think the bigger question is, Martinez, the older you get, do you dislike the dentist more or dislike skateboarding more?
Well, I'm a fool to even get on the skateboard at this age, so.
Oh, man.
I got to stay in my lane. That's what I need to do. Then I wouldn't have to go to the dentist. I think there's a correlation.
Yeah. Mark said the yawning queen is already on it.
The yawning queen. Is that your new name?
Yes. Bring on the yawning queen.
Yesterday was just a day for dentists. We took the girls to the dentist yesterday.
Yeah, and Brooklyn went to the dentist.
Did she really?
Yeah. It was Dentist Monday.
Oh my God. Oh goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I will say though, can we tell about Anna's
I guess.
yeah.
What did she do?
Well, so our little redhead,
Good morning, Kiana.
she is bashful at first, but when she gets like the okay, this is a safe environment, she is your best friend. Okay, and she just tells you everything. She shows you like all of her toys, and so we're at the
She
dentist.
likes to tell you what our house is made of and what color it is.
Yeah, she has a phone, a real phone, I might add.
Yeah.
It's really not, but Mommy called it a fake phone. What did you say? You said
I said a play phone.
and she said it's not a play phone. Like she
It's
was
real and it's for my business.
Yeah, it's for her business, just so you know. And so she was showing everyone how her phone has a little kangaroo that jumps every time she presses a button.
But there's no kangaroo.
There is no kangaroo. So we had to tell all the, it's pretend. They're like, oh, wow, look at that
She even,
kangaroo.
scrolled. Here, wait.
Wait, there's more.
Start it over.
Yeah, so she's doing that. But then she started telling everybody her joke.
Her joke.
Her joke. And she has a great joke. I love that she has this kind of sense
I
of
bet
humor.
she loved this joke.
I kind of helped, didn't I?
Yeah, you helped her with this.
So her joke goes like this. I don't know if I shared this with you, but what Anna will do is she'll go up to you and she'll say, Joe scratched me.
Who's Joe?
Joe Obama. And let me tell you something.
Joe Mama.
When you're an adult and you have this little girl drop a Joe Mama joke on you, dude, you're not ready for it. Like they ate her up.
I know that sometimes people
office.
can tell stories and they like over dramatize. So like the way he's saying Joe Mama can be
That's
like
how she
over
does
dramatic.
it.
No, that is how she does it. Like it is full blown. The passion behind it is fully depicted in what he just did, and that makes it so funny.
Oh, it's the best. It's the absolute best.
Especially because she had been so quiet. They had to do. She's 4, so at 4 they do X-rays of your teeth, and she was super uncomfortable, with having to bite down on the paper stuff, and so she was very quiet throughout most of the thing. And they even tried to talk to her early on, and she just didn't say much. Until then she got comfortable once it was over. And so very animated, Joe Mama. They lost it. I was like, now you're getting to know her.
Yeah.
So, Lucian, hey.
What's up, man? Good
Welcome to
you
the
here.
morning show.
Welcome to the morning.
So we've been talking about habits, hacks, and routine.
Habits,
So it's not
hacks,
really like
and
a word of
routines.
the week. It's more like a...
It's like a concept.
Like a statement.
Yeah.
It's like three words in 1 week.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Absolutely. My God.
that would preach.
I'm
3
telling
in
you.
1.
My God.
3 in
Woo! Praise. So let me, if you're new this week or you want to, let me recap, I guess, so people can kind of preface the conversation. So I believe, and I think you believe too, that we all have things that we are either consciously or subconsciously, we're just doing them. It's an autopilot. And the things that we do well, that we're intentionally doing, that serve us, fantastic. Those are routines, right? I chose that routine. But maybe we've got habits that are on autopilot that actually aren't doing so good. They're not serving us. They're not helping us. So what we want to do is we want to bridge the gap between those habits and those routines and start talking about the hacks to start having positive routines, but maybe stop the habits that are not serving you well. I don't know if you've ever, we made a book recommendation. It's a book we found to really love. It's called The Atomic Habit by James Clear. He's definitely gotten a lot of, what would you say, attention from his book and his findings, and just a really, really good read. And one thing that we said that we would talk about today is, what happened?
I had to yawn and I pulled my shirt up over my nose, and then he goes, "Nice try."
Mark, you keep us honest, and I love that, sir. I love that. You said, "Nice try." Oh my God. We're going to get him like a badge. It's like the yawn
Is it like
police.
a nerve thing or it's like a nerve?
Well, they say if you see somebody,
that you yawn.
did you see yourself like
No.
on the camera or something?
But I can yawn talking about yawns. I'm a yawner. I'm very susceptible.
You're a flute player. You're yawning.
And I'm not even granted, it would be nice to stay in the bed all day, wouldn't it? But I'm not even tired.
Ain't no back in time for that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Weird.
dude, that's funny. Nice try. We found you, Mark. Keeping us honest. I love it.
Sorry.
I
keep
bet he
going.
made his bed today.
Yeah,
He is
that
on it.
Genuinely got me tickled.
I love it. But anyways, yeah, that's the idea. We said that we would talk about today, setting up the conversation about habit shaming.
Let's talk about that. What do you mean by that?
So here's what I mean by that. I think when you start talking about the things that you do, you can get habit shamed on two sides of the equation. I think if you're trying to do something that's better for you, but maybe contrary to what somebody else is doing, they can be a little shamey about like, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing that? Why are you the way that you are? You know what I'm saying? It's like, almost trying to bring you down. But on the flip, there are some people that, and again, I would consider peers, that because they're doing something, they kind of shame you into like, hey, you should do it the way I'm doing it.
Has anybody ever experienced either one of these?
Any of these. Mark said, made the bed, put away the laundry, making tea and breakfast for the grand. Let's go. Dude's
Nice.
on it.
He's very British.
British.
Making tea.
Martinez is on it too. He's got little man making it happen, rocking it. What is that pillow? That's a specific pillow. What are
Boppy.
It's a boppy. Yeah.
Yes, it
Those
is.
are lifesavers
Yes. they
and a
are.
back saver.
Yes, it's true. Yes,
Oh.
and yes. Brooklyn.
I think he's
Brooklyn. Hello, Brooklyn. Brooklyn agrees with you on both things. She's
Yes,
experienced.
yes. Oh, I thought she was singing that song. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it says, to your point, habit shaming on both sides of things.
Yeah, yeah, and let me tell you a great example of this. So, like, again, it's the biggest is when to wake up.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, there's like this big like movement of like,
Why is it?
well, I will tell you this: you do get more done when you get up early. Okay. But it's also
Yeah, but
it's
the
also
shame behind it is
Oh,
so weird.
so I don't know. What do y'all? Before I give my answer, I don't. Ooh, look at that hair. That's a hot mess,
I
man.
might put that back.
Man, look at that. That's like a bird's nest, bro. Actually, I look like, what was that band? The Flock of Seagulls. I look like the Flock of Seagulls kind of
Oh,
thing.
looks like a flock of seagulls. Had
By
a
the way,
heyday.
true confession. I did not know until like I guess halfway through our marriage so far that hot mess is a bad thing. And I remember I had complimented you. I was like, "Babe, you were like a hot mess," and you were like,
Excuse
"Excuse me." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you're looking good." And you're like, "That's not what that means." And I was like, "What? You're a hot mess, like, you know, like."
Looking like
But
a snack.
That's exactly what I thought. Like that was the equivalent of, yeah, you're looking like a snack. So
great.
I will say, make sure that you know. Becky said hat hair. Absolutely, it's like I said, it's like
TJ
bird
says,
hair.
honestly, I'm glad everyone doesn't get up early. I get more done because there's less people. But there is such
Yes.
a shaming around, like, what time did you get up? I got up and you weren't up yet.
You didn't get up early. Oh,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I get up
What are
at
you
5
doing?
in the morning. What time do you get up? 10?
Yeah.
You know,
Then
which
you
I
got-
mean, like if you're working late nights and you have to like sleep in,
Yeah.
like, do you?
There's like, I mean, and there's
granted,
always
if you're sleeping
there's
at 10
always
every
like
day.
pushing the envelope too. It's like,
Yeah.
well, I got up at 4. Well, I got up at 3. Well, I got up at 2:59. Like,
Yeah, I got up at 1 and now I'm throwing up. No,
that's
I'm
facts.
good.
That's facts. But like, I don't know. Have y'all ever experienced that? And what's your all's opinion? What do you think causes like this shame? Like, why are we doing this to each other? Why are we doing this to people?
Yeah. But I think that, to that point, that's a lighthearted way of kind of bringing that in. But like weight loss is a habit shaming
Oh yeah,
situation, or
You're-
can be.
What are you doing? You're not doing this.
Yeah. Oh,
You should
God,
do this.
you're going to be on a diet now. We can't go to that restaurant because,
You can't have
you
anything.
got to make sure they have kale. And it's like, it's funny, but
But
a lot of
hurtful.
times it's a defense mechanism to the person that's doing the shaming.
Yeah.
Because they immediately feel, I was always very careful if I was doing a specific diet. I didn't really talk about it. I just, would
Yeah.
pick something. There were times I went to restaurants and didn't eat anything because they didn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was fine with that. I just wanted to be with people.
You'd go, I'm full.
Yeah, I'm stuffed.
Stuff. That's what it was.
But yeah, that is a real thing.
Now, are we froze up, or has nobody got any opinions on that? I haven't seen any comments come. What about you, Martinez? What do you think about that? Have you ever experienced routine shaming, habit shaming?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, good. Hey, so I guess shame is always going to be around. Abel's good deeds shamed his brother, right? And to the point where he killed him. So because his righteousness just was too much for him. But I was just thinking in general how, like, you know,
Oh, I think he's having some internet
morality fighting person. I just think about like the shaming that occurred when I was coming up as a youth.
Yeah.
You know, being on the football, you know, being amongst boys and football team and stuff like that. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like everybody wants to party, everybody wants to drink or whatever, you know, on the weekend or something like that. And if you're not that guy, they're like, dude, what? Are you okay? What's wrong? You loser? You know what I mean? It's like you get it on all ends. And so, like, I think like the youth, you know, probably, you know, I think everybody receives shaming of good habits or even, but like the youth, I just remember receiving that like in loads. You know, yeah. I mean, if you want to keep yourself, you know, remember the promise ring. You remember that a while ago, like people keeping themselves before marriage and that kind of thing. It's like, you know, that's just, you know, this idea, like, teaching abstinence versus like everybody should have, all the kids should have birth control or whatever, teaching them about birth control. I'm like, are you kidding me? So anyway, when you talk about shaming, I'm like, yeah, there's a shaming across the land in general, particularly when it involves our youth. Because in my opinion, if you can get them on the wrong road, you can kind of like continue that negative narrative or that weight that they'll carry for the rest of their life as a result of, you know, picking up bad habits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
That does, and I will say this: like I love how you brought that up. Your personal experience as a young person who is trying to become successful in your own right, and the reason I say that is because, and me and Brittany, we're funny about this. You know, when you see a young person making strides to be better, regardless of what level, whatever it is, you need to affirm in on that. You need to cultivate that. You need to, right? You don't need to put yourself on them in terms of like, you know, you don't, you know, well, if you really want to get good, this is what you should really, you know what I'm saying? Like there's like this almost like, hey, nice try, kid.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that, you know, to your point, bro, could be doing way worse things. In fact, could be doing bad things. Instead, they're doing a positive thing, and because you felt the need to impose upon them your quote unquote superiority, now all of a sudden they feel like they're not good enough. They feel like, well, I don't even know why I'm trying because apparently it's not good enough. It's like, bro, what I'm doing ain't good enough.
If you
We're all getting better.
make it sound like, to a young person, or anybody for that matter, if you genuinely make it appear as if your path of success or whatever is the only path in life to take, like this is the way that you work. You know, there are certain things that are pillars in life, right? Like the gospel doesn't change. There's not new paths to the gospel. But aside from that, just life, right? How you do life and your routines. That it's your routines or no routines, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody else does it differently, then that's wrong. It comes across like this is how you're supposed to live your life. And there's no room for cultivation. There's no room for cultivation. Did I say that right?
Oh, perfect. Okay. Cultivation.
Yeah, there's no room for trailblazing your own, you know, methods. And it makes people feel like, well, what's the point in living my life if you've already lived it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point in me trying if you've already discovered everything? You know, people like the idea of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's why a lot of times with these diets and things like that, and when people just kind of, oh, it's this way or no way, right? Like, no, there's several ways that it works for people, and let them discover what works best for them, because they want the discovery as much as they want the results.
I want to get you fired up.
Okay.
Okay, because we're talking about, we talked about, hey, dealing with your health, and we could even talk about, because there's opinions on how and what to do with your money, but one that's very prevalent is parenting habits. The mom shame. Careful, getting her fired up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you did what with your baby? You did what with your baby?
Yeah, that is a very... I did not know that is a community issue until I became a mom. But that is so...
You don't
prevalent.
do this with your child?
Or you do. You vaccinate? You don't vaccinate? Oh my God, that's during COVID, that everybody got real heated about vaccinations. And I'm like, y'all... This has been a debate for years in the mom community. I don't know why this is
Welcome
new for
to the
you
conversation.
Like, you're shamed one way or the other, and it's been that way for decades. So, and by the way, I'm not sharing my opinion on it. But yeah, that being said, I have a doctor's appointment next week. But for real though, there is the mom shaming. But that is to that point. It's the same concept. It's I have the only way that you are meant to parent. Yeah. My way is the only way that you're meant to parent. And there are, fundamental things like keeping your children alive and safe from abuse. And, that's already, established. Yeah.
Keep your children alive.
Yeah.
Step 2.
Don't shake
Don't
your baby.
forget lesson 1.
Yeah, exactly. But, keeping them thriving and things like that. But your kids, we are all unique people. We are our own unique set of cells that make up who we are. And so how we parent those unique people is going to vary depending on the person and also the values that you want to instill in their life, the values you want to protect in their life. It's all different. And to say that because I'm not doing something the way that you think I should, or I didn't dress my kid as dressy or as casual as you think I should. And it's like, what? Like,
well,
what?
And what's funny about that?
I don't keep a house the way you keep a house. Live
you
your
have
life.
bad cleaning habits.
Yeah, I hate that. You live your life. It's okay. Do you? I know that there are things that I do that not everybody else does. It's my method. And guess what? It makes me feel like I'm the best version of me. I don't in any way pressure people to do that because, and now if somebody comes up to me and is like, hey, what are you doing? I'll be happy to share, if I have company over, it's not that I'm a cleany person. I'm not. It's just if I have company over and there's multiple kids, I will pick up after a lot more just because there's so many kids. And
you have to be on the offensive at all times.
If you're not,
you're outnumbered.
If you're not, you're physically buried in toys. You're literally, but at the same time, I'm not weird about it. Oh gosh, don't get that out. I just don't like that feeling of the shame, behind
Becky
it.
said, stay in your lane. I agree with that.
Yes.
I agree. Stay. But to your point, if I'd like to merge over, hey, let me talk to you about this, right? Let me ask you about this.
But to that point, if somebody doesn't ask, why would you waste your energy on telling them?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I literally just sent this in a text message this morning. I said, as simple as it sounds, when you want to learn is when you're the most apt to receive.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's
when you want to learn that you're able to receive. Because if you don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that sounds so simple, but it's true. If you want to learn, you'll receive it. But if not, it's not going to be received. And so for me, why would I share if it wouldn't be received?
Right. Well,
unless I just like the sound of my own voice, and then I have a deeper issue.
That's that's something that you have to ask yourself. Yeah. Am I trying to be heard or am I trying to be helpful?
Absolutely.
Interesting thought.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like I live in a no shame zone.
This is a no shame zone.
I think the problem with shaming, or there's a lot of problems with shaming, but it really, the problem with shaming is it takes away our creativity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like like you said, our ability to discover, to kind of like walk into the know ourselves, and that's the challenge that a lot of people find is because they have been following the narrative that is created through shaming. They get to 20, 30, 40, 50 years of age, and they haven't really, they've been led like a sheep to the slaughter, so to speak, and they haven't really discovered themselves. And that's part of the unfulfillment of life that people have. They don't know themselves. They don't know who they are because like they've been kind of like their life has been dictated through shaming, and it's taken away their creativity of which we're all made in the image.
Who we made in the image of?
God, it's like, you take that away and it's kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
But to me, that takes upon you the thoughts and the narrative of the masses who, by the way, haven't done that well as far as don't have really that great of a record,
Yeah.
So, but yet we find ourselves doing it, because like we're like, oh, I know it don't look good. It's probably going against my principle or who I am, that kind of stuff. But you know what? And I know history is very loud about the outcomes of the choices I'm about to make. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and succumb to shame, to the shaming and just make this bad choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we become creatures of, and after that, it's like creatures of habit and that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm. You do have to make up within your own mind that your values that you hold, your ethics that you hold have to do with you and not other people. Like other people around you should not determine whether or not you let go of those values or ethics. Mm-hmm. So, if everybody else slacks off, well, then I might as well slack off. No. If you're holding true to who you are, mm-hmm. it's a value. Yeah. It's an ethic, like for you, like not everything is an ethic, but you know what I'm saying? If it is something, those things, why would you slack off on something because somebody else does it different? God notices that as much as anybody else,
Well, I would say to you, the ebbs and flows of shaming, whether you have given the shame or received the shame, to your point, you're not living principled. And here's what I mean. So let's say you've received the shame. Okay. And I pick up on this with people. Yeah. I guess I didn't realize it until now. But when people, when they're trying to do better, mm-hmm. and maybe you've been a part of like imparting information, like, hey, you've been asked advice, right? And you give mm-hmm. some advice. And what I find is people they're almost afraid to tell you, like, in other words, it's almost like, hey, I'm doing this. Is that okay? Is that the right thing? And I'm just kind of like, hey, whatever you're doing, whatever is making you feel good and make you, if you're in the right direction, fantastic. It's almost like they have received so much shame over the years that they're afraid to be wrong. Like, does that make sense? Yeah. Like they're not even doing it for them as much as they're trying to do it to be accepted because they've been shamed so hard, which inevitably, to your point, on the opposite side, if you're not doing it for the right reason, it's probably going to fall to the wayside anyways. Yeah. Just kind of an interesting little thought that crossed my mind.
Yeah. And if you're a little confused on how, if I'm shamed, like what is it that I would do that would be considered shaming? you know, because I'm sure somebody down the line may have accused me of being shaming. I don't know.
Shaming.
Right? Like shameful. It's in the very definition of the word. It is a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consequences of wrong or foolish behavior. Okay, so in my opinion, I don't think that there's ever a reason to shame somebody. Ever. If you are making them feel like humiliated, that's just never okay. Now, if this is something that they feel, they could be shaming themselves.
That's true.
And you know, blaming you for it,
Yeah.
right?
You made me feel bad. Well,
You made yourself feel bad.
You did the thing.
Yeah, like
I was just standing here.
But that is why you have to evaluate something. So if you're doing something good, right? Like for you, right? You're on a diet, right? And you're living your best life and you're losing your weight and you're doing your thing, and then somebody makes you feel bad for said diet. This is because they feel bad themselves. And
Yes.
they're not comfortable with the progressive changes that you're making. And it very well could be, and we've talked about this a lot, it very well could be that your circle of people, the things you have in common have to do with your bad habits. Like that's the thing that relates, that's the relatable thing. So if you are taking away a relatable thing, then that's defensive, you know, or behavior or whatever. But yeah, so like the idea of making someone feel humiliated, I just don't feel like that's educational. I don't feel like that's, I want to be a confidence builder, right? Like there are things that maybe you're doing wrong that you need to be better at, right? There's going to be those situations, but if we're not in a position in life where I can say something to help you with that, you know, like no offense, but like as a parent, I'm always going to have an open door to have that conversation.
Right.
Like you're my kid, right? But at the same time, as I come to them, I don't ever want them to leave feeling humiliated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't ever, and sometimes we abuse that power of, you're my kid and I'm going to, you know, no, I want to approach my child and say, look, these are constructive.
I will
know what
say
I'm saying?
that, well, to your point, yeah, like that is one of the like parental things that I am actually having to like, hey, I want to make sure, because to your point,
It's not
it's how you make people feel, whether
Yeah.
you mean to or not. Like there's been times where you've been like, Jason, you hurt her feelings, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I corrected her. Yeah, but you embarrassed her, and I'm like,
Can I tell the story?
absolutely.
Is that okay?
Like
So,
this is for you people. This is for you
because this was
all
the
you
most,
girl dads.
Yeah.
Listen up.
He is a large teddy bear. All right. He is a kind, sweet, caring dad, and would never intentionally embarrass his kid ever. But I'm a girl, and I noticed this.
I don't know. Never mind.
And you'll get this. You'll get there. But here's what happens. We're at a restaurant and we're with our family and a friend of ours who is how old is Austin? What is he, like 16?
Yeah.
16?
Maybe 17.
A young 16, 17-year-old boy.
Good looking young man.
Good looking young guy. He's been staying the weekend with us. And Anna is just kind of enamored by him. Yeah, like giggly, and you know, which is so funny because like him and his sister stayed with us a while, but she's getting to that place now, older, where it's like she's starting to recognize, oh my gosh, that's a boy,
It's a boy.
you know. And so
She's already got 3 people she's engaged to.
it's
so
true,
apparently.
yeah. And then she has boyfriends. She said these are my Tennessee boyfriends. But so she,
Martinez, pray.
So she has, you know, found this like crush feeling, right? Like I have a crush. And she told me about it. She was like, I have a crush on Austin. And that was just precious. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And he's so good to her, you know. You know, here, you want me to get your food for you? You know, he's real sweet. Well, we're at the restaurant and he gave her something and
She dropped her crayon.
And
he picked it up for her.
And so she had been a little on the mouthy side that day anyways. And so Jason was like, you know, tell him you thank you. She wouldn't do it. And so it was one of those, in his mind, okay, you're deliberately disobeying me. tell him thank you, would not do it. And so then he gets really frustrated.
Just so you know, on the DISC assessment,
Yeah.
I'm a D and a C. That's dominant and compliant.
Yeah. So, and then he looks at her and
So
he's
I'm
like,
like,
I mean, he wasn't like, I can't stand these parents that are like in public and they're just like, well, I don't do it in private either, but like, you know, they're just so hateful. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you weren't like that, but you were just very, all right, we're not going to go get. She wanted a lollipop. We're not going to. You're not getting a lollipop because of that. And then at this point, she's too embarrassed to say anything, and now she's humiliated. And then also she's deprived. So, and then
I hit all the
yeah.
areas. I hit them all.
Now, let me tell you this key thing that happened, okay? And I'm not saying I'm God's gift at this, right? But this is something that I tried very hard.
You are very good at this.
I leaned over to him when she was not listening and she was not in earshot. So she could not hear that I am fixing to say something that is in direct disagreement, okay? I hope any young parent is catching what I'm saying. I'm not having a disagreement in our parenting in front of my kid. That's not okay. I think that causes a lot of inconsistency down the road. But I leaned over to him.
Never mind.
And I said, you have embarrassed her really bad. And I said, she's not disobeying you. It's because it's Austin and she doesn't want to talk to him. And so I explained it to him. And so he catches on. Okay. Well, at this point, we didn't back down from, you just set a rule, right? So at this point, I pick her up and we kind of talk and we're like, hey, it's okay. It's fine. All you got to do is when you feel a little bit better, why don't you just say thank you for the crayon? And we'll go get a lollipop. We'll go get it right now. We're at Cracker Barrel. I'll get you something else too. Paid $30 for it, but whatever. And so that she finally kind of worked up and he talked to her. He was like, okay, I realized at this point, hey, listen, it's okay. We just need to say thank you. We worked through it. But that idea of, as a parent, it's your immediate reaction to jump in and say, you do what I say when I say, right? But you're not understanding the situation. You're just taking your authority into play because you're like, hey, I want you to be a good person. I want you to be thankful. I want you to be, but then assessing the situation.
Well, total transparent moment, okay? So here's the other factor. In that moment, because, again, I'm not that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm having a hard time, processing in my mind. That embarrassed her?
Yeah, I know.
I just said, but.
You're not one to get embarrassed.
But,
yeah.
Exactly. But here's the deal. One thing that I have figured out, a lot of thanks to this one right here, is it doesn't matter what my perception is. It's about how does the other person perceive this. It's about so that, because feelings are not right or wrong, but they're real. Everyone has real feelings, okay? And regardless of what you intended to do, it's kind of like communication. Mm-hmm. The biggest problem in communication is you assumed it took place, okay? Well, I told them, well, they didn't hear you because all you did was hear yourself. You didn't make sure that they heard you. So in that situation, regardless of whether I think I was right or wrong, and to your point, it's not like I just oh my gosh, I was completely, no, I was right.
No.
But I did something in a different method that I had to shift on, and so we fixed that, right? Because again, I have no problem saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." Now, granted, I don't think I'm wrong. It's, but in that regard, it doesn't matter because it's about the other person.
Yeah, exactly. That's
because
parenting.
She felt shame.
Yeah, and that's the difference between leadership and power trip. You know what I mean? For you, it was one of those, when you recognize the situation, it's not about a power trip for me. I'm trying to lead her into being a grateful person, a polite person. You know what I'm saying? And so at this point, when I see the issue that's at hand, it's not that she's deliberately disobeying me, that there is a cause. Well, then I want to help heal the cause.
Let's find a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. That's the difference in leadership and power trip. Because a power trip person would just be like, I don't care. I don't care that she is embarrassed. You're going to do this. You know what I mean? That's not okay.
I see a power trip showing, kind of teaching people how to feeding them for a day. Here's a fish, eat it. you know, whereas leadership is, you know, teaching people how to eat for a lifetime because like, you know, they backed into it themselves. So, and they'll see that, you know, but I kind of like, you know, there's, you know, you guys are, y'all better than me, man, because I tell you what, I'm like, you know, it's black or white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
What's your disc assessment, Martinez?
You and Jason are the same. You both need a woman.
Cheers.
But
welcome to the grave.
But you all make a great point. It kind of like leads me into like you know, what I consider, you know, shame is not good, but I think one time shame is okay. Is, you know, and that's righteous shame, you know, you're wanting your daughter to be raised right, be thankful and show manners. So it's like you're in a way, you're like, you know, you're like, she might've been embarrassed but it's like, okay, but you're doing it for the right reasons, but wrong method, so to speak, you know? But I was thinking righteous shame, you know, the Bible talks about like, neither could they blush. Right. Because like people could, you know, back in the day, people were doing wrong or something bad. You know, they felt bad about it. They blushed, you know, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. But now, you know, and of course we let Hollywood kind of determine our value system and DC, that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, it's almost like we're being conditioned to think that, hey, it's okay to have this type of behavior, you know, that, you know, to steal, to lie, to cheat, you know, that kind of stuff. And back in the day, when your character was called on the carpet, you know, for example, politicians would just like, you know, they would resign because they felt like they were not worthy of the position, you know, worthy of the cloth, so to speak, you know. But like, you know, you know, it'll get to a place where our children is, you know, where it's like anything goes, and there is no shame about you doing wrong, you know, and right will be out the door. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, people just expect you to not have manners, to kind of talk back to parents, to not be obedient. You know what I mean? Like, oh, shame on you for, you know, spanking your child or whatever, or disciplining your child. Okay, all right, okay, all right. God forbid, help me, Lord. But like the thing about it is like, you know, it you know, not to go too far with it, but you know, righteous shame. You know, I think there is a place for that.
But I think, you know, honestly, though, I think the word for that to me would be discipline.
Well,
that's discipline because. Shame is natural to feel. You know, matter of fact, Brene Brown, she does research on shame and vulnerability, and she has some great insight on shame, and things like that. And shame is a natural feeling, like in the definition of it, it's a feeling that you feel for wrongful or foolish behavior. I'm gonna feel shame. And rightfully so, if I've done something wrong or foolish, I'm going to feel it. But the verb of shame is that I am causing someone humiliation, or I am causing someone, and I think the positive way, because I'm causing that because they've done something wrong or foolish, but the positive way to bring light to the wrong or foolish behavior, I think, is proper discipline.
Yeah. Well, because, and I'll tell you this, discipline is the vehicle to get you to the opposite of shame. That's honor.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to your point, Martinez, you know, there is this shift, so to speak. Decline. There's a shift of, hey, what we're going to, and somebody just said it. Mark said now they're promoting it. Promoting shameful things instead of promoting honorable things.
Yeah.
And so to your point, I don't want, and even to that being to your point, it's such a nuance, right? Because I don't want to absolve her of her wrongdoing.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that really and truly, if I'm being honest, I'm clarifying, hey, baby, I didn't mean to put shame. Like, I hope you understand
You
the
mean
shame didn't come
embarrass.
from me.
Yeah.
You got embarrassed. But here's why Daddy did what he did. And she still had to do what she had to do.
That
That
was a
Brittany,
thing.
like,
That's
oh yeah,
my job.
Daddy said you got to say thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
Whether I, if obviously there's going to be the exception to the rule, which is abusive behavior, and I never think that's okay to condone. But this is not the topic that we're talking about. So this is not abusive behavior. This is just how to parent. This is parenting together. So whether I agree with the technique or not, you said it. You know what I'm saying? It's been said. It's been out there. The rule has been set. So at this point, I'm not going to show you an inconsistent behavior between us.
Right.
I'm not going to teach you at this point, hey, Dad said you had to do this, but I said you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not good. That's not
I was
okay.
about to
So
say,
you have
you're
to
going to
look
have your own
united.
problems then.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be united on that front, even, and don't have the conversation of what you disagree with in front of the kids.
We play what's known as ping pong. And that is when somebody, like a child asks, hey, can I go do this? What did your mother say? Well, she said blah, blah. Well, go ask her. Okay.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. What'd your dad say? Well, I don't know. Why don't you go ask him?
Ask him. Yeah, go ask him. Daddy said no.
You
Daddy
know what
said
they
no.
say about assuming.
Yeah. And I say this too, even if it's because there has been things that maybe I've said that you don't agree with, or maybe you've said that I don't agree with. I'm
Yeah.
saying set, by the way, not said.
Right.
Possibly said too, but there's a rule in place that he has set, right? You can't have this until you do that, whatever that may be. And so for her, whether I agree with that or not, whether I would have given her the thing, whatever it is, right? Hypothetics. I will say, Daddy said you have to da-da-da-da-da. Not, well, babe, Dad wants you to do that, so you probably need to do that because that's what Dad said.
You know how your dad is.
Yeah, you know how he can be. No, I'm saying it because I agree with him. You know what I'm saying? As far as you're concerned, I agree with him. If I don't agree, we can talk about that when
I'll be the first one to know.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, hey, listen, your method is not we're not on the same page. But that's not going to be.
And by the way, I welcome that, just so you know. I mean, I don't always like it, but I do welcome it.
We don't really have that conversation a lot, though. We're on the same
I'll be
page.
honest with you. Look, I have girls.
Yeah.
I need calibration.
Yeah, I come to the table just to remind him that females are different in the sense that we are more emotionally driven. And so the way that a female looks to her father, there's already so many emotions involved because that's dad. And so it does require a delicate thing to keep that emotion, because daughters can fall apart really easy just because they feel like their dad doesn't approve,
I will tell you the Bible verse / principle that I am really working on. Now, you might be like, you're working on this? Aren't you like a long-term Christian? Look, if you're not working every day, I promise you.
Yeah.
But this is legit where I'm at in parenting to make sure that I am connecting, which, by the way, I want to read. There's a lot of comments. I want to read these.
Comments, yes.
I am having to consciously make sure that I practice using a soft answer, a kind answer. Okay,
Yeah.
because I do have girls that are emotional, and I've got one. Actually, not one. They both can get fired up. That's probably my fault.
Adley she gets mad, be like da 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 da. She'll pick up something and just toss it.
Yeah,
Mad.
Now she gets disciplined. But
we're on the same page.
we're trying to work out making sure that there is communication that is not making that worse. You know what I'm saying? It's not like this. In other words, how can I instruct instead of explode? And I'm not. I hope y'all are reading in between the lines here.
We've
Like,
had that conversation.
baby,
Yeah.
I need you to understand something. You're about to get in trouble. You're like, if you do it again, this will happen to you. Do you?
That's respect. We want a nice level of respect, right?
Yeah.
I don't ever want my kid to be afraid of me. You know what I'm saying? In that
Yeah.
like unhealthy way. I don't ever want them to be afraid of me. But I am your parent. There is going to be respect. You know what I'm saying? You're going to respect what I say, what he says, and you're going to, but I don't think you instill habits based on just fear. You know what I'm saying? I want these kids to have a habit of being kind. It's a part of their
fear
habit.
of God.
Fear of God.
But no, I'm with you. I'm
Because
completely
if
with
it's
you.
by fear, I think if you are driving your kid to good behavior based on fear, I don't think you remove the want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I think if you can do this, hey, obviously they're going to be like they don't want to get in trouble, but they want to be kind.
I almost look at it like, hey, look, protect on the shame side, but make sure you affirm the honor side. So when they do something right, I really want to make a big deal about this.
Okay, wait a second. You can't just say that and stop.
Okay.
That is so true. If you're going to make a big fuss about something that they do bad, please make a big fuss about something that they do good. I will say, when they do the good thing, we praise them. And because I think a lot of times that's kind of an accidental thing. You did good, so I didn't think to, it's. So yeah, that's very true. Sister Violet, yes, the leg pop on my picture of Anna and Poppy, she did that. That was a spontaneous.
I don't think I saw that.
Oh yeah, like we were like, okay, come on, take a picture with Poppy, and when we did, she wraps her arms around him, and the whole time she's looking into his eyes, like this is my Poppy, and
Poppy.
I love him. And then she kisses him and pops that leg up, and we were like, that is the sweetest.
You got to show me that after this.
It's precious.
Okay, we've got some comments I want to get. Mark said there is a difference between being lived in and clean. Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Yes.
He said, I had this argument with my mom when she came. My house is clean and lived in. My kids or grands are not going to feel free to play and feel at home. I get that.
I agree.
Like,
I don't want my kids to feel like they can't touch anything.
Yeah, like, oh my God, it's a museum. Like, no, but it's got to be clean. Mm-hmm. But that is a point of contention.
That's a delicate balance.
Yeah, for sure.
We're always learning.
Mark also said, I feel like it's a vicious circle that the ones that have been shamed the most are usually the ones that are doing it the most. Abuse repeats abuse most of them.
So true.
I think so too. Like I legit what's that? Hurting people hurt people.
Hurt people.
And to your point, yeah, it's like, whoa, why are they doing this? But that's not easy because when you feel that, like somebody trying to put that on you, that's not your. I mean, I don't. I'm like, let's try to understand how you're feeling and what. No, I'm like, bro, you better back off. Okay.
Yeah.
TJ says, I have found that if I strive to concentrate on improving myself, that is such a full-time focus. It helps me hold my tongue because one thing is working on is being less opinionated. TJ, I literally had a conversation with some young people about this. Like, legit, don't worry about what's going on around you. Worry about what you're doing.
What about you?
What about yourself, as Brooklyn used to say.
That was not Brooklyn. That's just a viral YouTube.
Oh, I thought she said that. Oh, okay, my bad. I'm making Brooklyn viral. But seriously, like, I also will tell you this. I believe if you improve yourself, others around you get better too.
Yeah.
TJ said, those who inspire me make me want to rise to a new level. Those that shame me make me want to sink away.
Inspiration as opposed to shame. That's a very good word. Very good word.
Well, it kind of goes back to a child. Like, affirm the good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm not saying
inspire them to be better.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if we have to correct, we have to correct.
Yeah,
but that's a child.
Yeah. And you might avoid a lot of correction because you inspired them to never
be so good.
to not do the, like, I'm not saying that's going to be that. I mean, nobody's perfect, but yeah.
I got news for you. The Bible talks about not despising the discipline now. Okay.
You know what the Bible says?
know what the Bible
about
said?
talking back? Don't.
DJ says, one way Ashley helps me is at times my day can affect how I view an issue. And when that happens, she helps me adjust when I'm being inconsistent with Nick, but it's not where he would know it.
Yeah.
I get it. You recalibrate.
You know, to be honest with you, I think that's important as a spouse, as a spousal unit, a parental unit. You know, it's important to have some time together. And you always, you know, you talk about go on date nights and stuff, which we're not consistent with at all. And we should be. You want to go out sometime? Let's go out sometime. But I think it's important.
You gonna kiss me or no?
I think it's important to have the conversations with each other. Yes, to keep your marriage alive, but also to talk about your parenting. We spent a lot of time when I was pregnant talking about different like hypothetical scenarios and how we want to parent. And we went ahead and said, hey, listen, something that I would be whatever about is I don't really like the idea of disagreeing in front of the kids about how we parent. And that's like me neither. I don't want to, you know, so there was a lot of things we talked about. We just like talking about random things. We will talk about deep, nerdy Bible things. We will talk about parent things. We said a long time ago, we want our house to be a house where our kids feel comfortable to talk about their issues, talk about their struggles. We want our house to be the kind of house where they can sit down and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, even if it may be a sin, where they sit down and say, I am struggling with this. And they feel safe enough to say that because they don't feel that there will be judgment, but that there will be understanding and guidance. Like, that's important.
Okay, this is a tip that I got from a parent or parents of kids that they graduated, okay? And they were talking about, you know, just things to, tips for raising teens.
Yeah.
Now, this is before we had kids, okay? And I literally, to this day, it stuck with me. And they said with teenagers, which goes back to this whole, you know, monitoring yourself. With teenagers, never overreact. Because the moment you do, they will stop sharing with you because, to your point, it's not safe. See, shame is, I want to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole biblical principle of bringing it into the light, because the light actually resolves that shame.
Especially if they're bringing it to you, they kind of already know it's wrong.
Yeah, they already, you know, this.
Yeah.
So the worst thing that you could do is overreact. Like even when we like we've had times for kids, like, you know, they needed to get something off their chest, and, you know, I did this, or like we would just kind of sit there and be like, man, how do you feel? You know what? Like because the truth of the matter is, that moment is not about me.
No,
it is about them getting victory over what it is that they have held on to.
Yeah.
So why would I make them feel bad about them doing the right thing, about wanting to get better?
Well, does God do that?
Hello.
Yeah. The whole
big man.
I wrote a song about grace a few years ago.
Downloaded today on iTunes. It's called "Grace" by the Livingstones.
Unexpected Journey album. I wrote a song about grace that was like literally inspired by the idea of, I have heard so many young people say, they won't say what they struggled with, but they say, I don't think God's grace can cover all I've done.
Yeah.
And that broke my heart so bad, because I want any young person, this is our children, like right now we're in the laying of the foundation phase, right?
Right.
So,
but we're talking about it before it gets
exactly. But I want any young person because adults feel this way too. I want any person to know, if they're coming to us with something that they are feeling shame about, there is nothing that you are struggling with that hasn't been struggled with by somebody and hasn't been overcome by somebody out there. There is a lot of people in this world, and what you're struggling with You're not the only person to have ever struggled with it. I feel confident in saying that. And I also feel confident in saying you're not the only one that has struggled with it, and there are people that have overcome this. And so I want to have that mentality of bring this to the table, and when you lay it out, we're going to look at this and we're going to approach this and we're going to work through it together.
About to make me go all gospel.
I know,
on
right?
you.
Like, because there's nothing that you could do. Listen to me. I don't care what, and this is how we felt before kids, but with kids, I say this with passion because I know this now. There is nothing either one of my daughters could ever do that would remove my love from them. Like nothing. I don't care if you are across the world and you have found yourself in this horrible situation and you have ran from me. I will find you. I will get on planes and helicopters and buses and I will hitchhike. I will get to you. I love you. You know what I mean? Like you're my baby. And I don't care how old you are. You'll always be my baby. And I will find you and I will love you and I'll forgive you and we'll work through this. How much more does our God feel about us? You know, like how much more? And so, yeah. And then that's why I wrote Grace, because at the end of the day, we're all painted on by the world, you know, like if we're a canvas, we're all painted on by the world. But if you really want to know what grace is, it's the painting that's over the original painting of what the world did. He paints over it and he makes it beautiful, and he takes all those rough edges and he takes all those things and he says, look, I made this a piece of art because I touched it.
Yeah.
I renewed you.
Brittany,
you know, it's beautiful.
Brittany, I love what you said. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
No, it really is. And, you know, regarding your love for your child as far as your illustration and then, you know, mirroring that with the Father's love for us.
Yeah.
The challenge, however, is while that's the picture you want your child to have, and that's the picture that we should give the world as it relates to God, his love for us, the challenge is how do we, you know, create the habits? And you've already started it. You've already talked about it. You've already been talking on the show, creating the habits in the household that would, you know, that would kind of like, you know, reaffirm and like that's the challenge. You know, like, yeah, you're right. You know what you do for your child. And we know that what God will do for his children. But does the child know?
Yeah. You got to lay that foundation.
And for the child to know, like Martinez has to create habits in his family, in the home that become culture of the house. Like this is who we are. You bring it to the table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whatever it is, there's a scripture that says something, I forget what but it's something about fathers don't provoke your child to wrath, but raise them in the way of the Lord, you know, the learning and teaching of the Lord. And, you know, to your point, Jason, if your child or somebody's coming to you, and I know it's rocket science to us, you were like, are you kidding me? And we want to like go off, like, dude, this is how you do it. We kind of like go, we
lay down the law.
Overreact. Yeah. Because like it's only black and white to us.
Yeah.
It's certainly black and white to me. It ain't ever gray.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. It ain't ever gray.
Yeah.
Grace for cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, God help me. But that's where I am on that. But like the thing about it is it's like when I overreact, you know, not just like with a child, but even like if Robbie or something, you know, a car accident, you what? I just paid for that car. I just put a full tank of gas in that car. You wrecked it or whatever, you know. I mean, like you overeat. Like people, you know, you can kind of like create an environment where they're not able to come to you.
Yeah.
And if you create that environment, that culture where they can't come to you, then how in the world, Martinez, are they going to understand as they get older that I don't care where you are at the ends of the earth, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, that's the challenge. I think it's like, I know what you know, I might know what I'm capable or willing to do, but of course, you know, I'm super new in this ball game. So, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm not,
Us too.
Yeah.
Us too.
We are too.
I'm
Yeah.
no stretch in imagination like an expert, even though I like when I talk to Robbie, I kind of like position myself as an expert father. But you know, you should see it.
I think we all do that.
roll.
Yeah.
In a
Oh,
way,
for
yeah.
sure. For sure.
It
But
is, yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the challenge, creating that culture in
Yeah.
your household, the habits that are like reaffirming, so that like, I mean, because at the end of the day, like there's so many people who are so disarrayed because, you know, they're out there. Parents are, you know, they're kind of like a ship in the ocean being tossed to and fro. They don't have any place to kind of like, you know, dock their ship. You know, like they don't feel like they're worthy to go back into shore. You know what I mean? So.
Well,
My two
I think it's what you're saying is it's two types of habits. It's you're always, just because you're a parent doesn't mean you've stopped learning. If anything, you probably need to learn more. So if you're constantly working on your habits, hey, listen, if I tend to lean more towards the negative in a crisis situation, then I need to change the way that I think in that, and I'm going to develop that into a habit, and then that habit becomes a routine, and it just becomes how we set the pace of our house. Then our kids develop said habits of feeling safe enough to come to you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well,
You gonna do closing thoughts?
I will do closing thoughts. Yeah, because good Lord, we're a little over. Let me say this, and then I'm gonna close it. Again, something I heard, and when I heard it, I thought it makes a lot of sense. People do not like hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. Your kids do not like hypocrisy. Okay. Now, everyone has hypocritical tendencies in the sense that we're not perfect, right? So we're striving. But here's the reason I'm saying that. I think to help set that precedent, at least for me, this is how I kind of look at it and what I'm trying to do. I'll let you know in about 30 years, see if this works. I don't know. I'm not going to ask my girls to do something that I'm not doing.
As for me.
In
my house.
And my house. So for instance,
Me first.
Why would if I tell my girls you can do anything, but I tell myself that I'm confined and I'm limited, if I'm not growing as a person, but I'm telling them you need to meet your potential, I'm just simply saying that creates hypocrisy and conflict because they're looking at me as the model and they're saying, well, you don't do that.
Yeah. Live out
And I will tell you this, unfortunately, some people live at a lower standard and they use hypocrisy as their reasoning. Well, I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I'll just let them, you know, I mean, that's what I would probably want to do, so I'm just not going to be a hypocrite and I'll just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like
You're on it.
You have not only, I'm just going to say it, you've screwed yourself and you've screwed your kids.
Yeah.
Because now no one's getting any better. You're actually making things worse because you refuse to put in the effort that's required to be a person that God has designed you to be. All for the sake of not being a hypocrite. Let me be consistent with my lowest nature.
Think about that.
You're better than that.
My lowest vibration.
My lowest vibration. You're better than that.
If you think
You're better than
especially
that.
if you want your kids to be better than that. Like you
Like you if you can,
yeah.
you must. If you can, you must. Closing thoughts. Sorry. We've talked about shame. How this relates, in my opinion, and why this is such an important idea around your habits and your rituals is because somebody needs the permission to move past the perceived shame. Because I will tell you this, some shame, it's self-promoted. But I think you do that because you're trying to please other people. You're trying to live other people's life instead of finding your own. So I want to liberate you today and hack this by saying no more shame for you in your life. Whether it's being put on you or whatever it is. I want to encourage you, start finding the things that make you better. All right? How will you know if you're doing better? People around you are getting better. You can't tell me that you're getting better and everyone around you is like, man, they are a jerk. They are awful. They are, right? Like when you are getting better, truly getting better and becoming more and more like you should be, people around you will get better. They'll be encouraged. They'll be inspired. They will want to do more, not less. And that's what we want to talk about, how to actually start building routines and destroying habits moving forward.
Making impact. That's great.
Make an impact. So we appreciate you being on here. We're live again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok in
There's
the house.
more comments. We should read these tomorrow.
Fantastic. Let's
Start
do
it
it
tomorrow and
Let's do
finish
it.
reading these comments and yeah.
That's how we'll cue it up tomorrow.
I love it.
I love it.
I love you guys.
All right. Have a great day. We'll catch you later.
Midweek tomorrow.
Midweek. Wonderful Wednesday. Have a terrific Tuesday.
Yes.
Hey guys.